Welcome to this Prepare for IELTS video in which we're going to tell you all about collocations. Collocations are really important in IELTS Writing Task 2, so let's take a look. We'll begin by explaining what they are and why they matter. Then we'll look at the band descriptors for IELTS Writing Task 2. And then we'll look at the different types of collocations: verbs with nouns, adjectives with nouns, adverbs with verbs, and adverbs with adjectives. These are the most common. So what are they and why do they matter? Well, they're groups of words which often appear together. Combinations of verbs and nouns and adverbs, adjectives and nouns and adverbs, and these are typical of native speaker writing, often found in formal and academic writing, and they allow IELTS candidates to express their ideas very clearly. So an essay with collocations will generally get a higher score, and you can see this by looking at the band descriptors. So even at band 9, it says uses a wide range of vocabulary with very natural and sophisticated control of lexical features. Natural is a key indicator of collocations. In band 8, again, skillfully uses uncommon lexical items. Well, these could be collocations, but there may be occasional inaccuracies in word choice and collocation. So even at band 8, you can get them occasionally wrong. And you can see as you go down the band descriptors, they are referred to. So collocations are a feature of complex language and they will get you a high grade. Let's go through some of the main ones and see which ones you can use. And we'll start with verbs and nouns. And verb-noun collocations are very common and very useful. So, for example, you can address an issue or a matter or a question. That means to deal with it, to discuss it, to try to find solutions for it. You can carry out research, carry out investigations, studies, or experiments. That means to conduct them, to do them. You can draw a conclusion. That's reach a decision, reach a conclusion based on the evidence that you've looked at. So this can be very useful in the conclusion to an essay. You can express your feelings, such as your fears or concerns. And you can extol the virtues of something. You can say how good it is, how beneficial and how positive something is. You can also eradicate or alleviate poverty. If you eradicate something, then you get rid of it altogether. If you alleviate it, you make it less serious. So these verbs work very nicely with things which are problems. Very often in an IELTS exam, you have to deal with issues like poverty. So some more verb-noun collocations. If something has a positive effect, then it leads to good results. If it has a negative effect, then it leads to bad results. If something has an impact, then it causes an effect. It causes things to change. If you heed warnings, then you take notice of things people say about how badly things will turn out. And if you introduce, bring in, or pass legislation, you pass new laws. You change the legal situation. And of course, this is something that you might suggest in a problems and solutions essay. More verb-noun collocations: to play a role or to play a part, to do something important, to have an active involvement in something. If you pay attention, you take notice of what is happening. If something poses a risk or a threat, then it causes a potential problem and you should take it seriously. If you reach a conclusion, then you decide what your opinion is based on the evidence that you've looked at. So again, you can certainly use this in a conclusion in your essay. Some more: to reap the rewards or to reap the benefits is to get the good results from earlier actions. If you raise awareness, then you make people understand that a situation is important. If you raise concerns, you make people understand that there is a problem. You can tackle a problem or issue, to deal with it, to try to find solutions for it. And you can take something into account or into consideration. You can think about it when you're reaching a decision or deciding what your position or conclusion is. There are lots of adjective noun collocations which work very well, so you can sometimes see these as compound nouns, sometimes view them as adjectives and nouns. It doesn't really matter, they're very good for your grade. Examples include adjectives which go with debate, so an ongoing debate is one which continues for a long time. If a debate is fierce or heated, then people have strong opinions. Long-term effects continue for a long time, so they are the results which happen for a long time. If you have a bitter or acrimonious argument, then it is very strong and people disagree violently. If an issue is contentious, then people have strong and differing opinions on it. Ardent supporters very strongly support something, and vehement critics very strongly oppose it. If you have a strongly held view, then you have an opinion which you believe very much. And a widely held view is an opinion which many people have. Moving on to some more adjective noun collocations, and there are nice collocations with the nouns consequences and repercussions, which often mean results. So serious, dire can mean very strong and negative. Unforeseen are results which you didn't expect, and unintended are results which you didn't want. So all of these collocations work very nicely. Unintended consequences, unintended repercussions, unforeseen consequences, for example. These sound very formal and academic. And we also have nice collocations with nouns like approach, strategy, and policy. So if an approach is misguided, it is wrong. If it's short-sighted, then people haven't considered the long-term effect. We can also use the phrase a double-edged sword, and this is slightly idiomatic, so some students don't really like using it, but you can use it in an essay to suggest that an issue has both positive and negative elements. And we can use certain adjectives with step, so a backward or retrograde step involves doing something which takes you away from a possible solution, which takes you in the wrong direction. So we can use this when we're criticizing a policy or approach. Some more adjective noun collocations. If damage is irreparable, then it cannot be repaired. You cannot make that situation better again. If you have bitter feuds, disagreements, or arguments, and these are very strong, with very strong opinions and hatred. If there is overwhelming evidence, then there is so much proof that something must be true. If you make a valuable contribution, then you do something which improves the situation, and a positive step also refers to making progress, doing something which improves the situation. However, if there is a bleak future, then the things which are going to come are terrible or horrible. We can refer to global warming, and this is the process of the planet getting warmer. You might argue that this is a compound noun instead of an adjective noun collocation, but it doesn't really matter. It's still a nice noun phrase and will still get you lots of credit in the exam. Some more useful adjective noun collocations, and we can refer to resources. So non-renewable resources, these are things like oil and coal, which once we've used we cannot use again, and natural resources, things like wood, which come from the natural world. We can refer to energy-hungry lifestyles, when people use a lot of energy in their day-to-day living, and carbon emissions, a very useful phrase if you have an essay on the environment. And this is the amount of carbon gas, such as CO2, that we pump out into the atmosphere. Greenhouse gases is a similar concept. So there are lots of environment-related collocations which you can use here. We can refer to technological advances when we have computers which are able to do things which couldn't be done before. Scientific breakthroughs when we make progress in science. Information technology, so all progress to do with computers. Social media, which I imagine you're aware of, as well as driverless cars. And gene editing, the process of changing the DNA, the genetic material inside a living thing, to improve it in some way. We can also refer to nuclear weapons, so lots of science-related collocations there. Some of the useful ones: the general public is a nice way of referring to all ordinary people. You can have a fervent hope. That's a strong wish for something to happen. The heartfelt wish is very similar. So these are nice phrases for your conclusion when you'd like to put forward a hope or a wish. And you can have deep-rooted or deep-seated animosity, strong hatred of something, as well as a burning desire, a strong wish to do something. And awareness-raising campaigns. So these are a series of actions aimed at persuading people to do something differently or to understand a situation differently. So I appreciate these are not particularly logically ordered, but they're all very useful. Let's move on to some adverb-verb collocations. You can radically alter something or radically change it. That's to change it very much. You can fervently hope something, so very strongly hope for something. And you can agree wholeheartedly, completely. You can vehemently support an idea, that's very strongly. And with the verb to examine, we can use closely, seriously, and carefully. If you examine a situation closely, seriously, or carefully, then you analyze it, look at a lot of detail. So this is a nice way of introducing your conclusion. And finally, we have some adverb-adjective collocations. Something can be abundantly clear, very obvious. Something can be blindingly obvious, again, entirely clear, so clear that it really doesn't need stating. Something can be entirely inappropriate, so completely wrong. Something can be factually inaccurate, so untruthful. And remarkably similar. Two things can be nearly the same. We can use generally or widely accepted when we want to indicate that most people believe something, and utterly ridiculous, ludicrous, or preposterous when we want to say that something is really stupid and nobody should believe it. So we hope that you have enjoyed our slightly random look at collocations. There are lots of them that you can certainly use there. Don't forget to take this as a PDF so that you can get a nice list of the most useful collocations for the exam and try to use them in your writing. We hope to see you soon, and thank you for watching.